I want to start with a figure that caught my eye. I found out about it yesterday. 1 in 3 measles cases require hospitalisation. We're talking about New Zealand, referencing 2019 data. Is this true?
Well, I think that the 1 in 3 number might have stemmed from the last outbreak in New Zealand, where at the time they were talking about increased hospitalisation rates, and they were using that as a fear to drive up a particular response, I think, in young parents of young children. And so I was curious, and I called up the Auckland Regional Public Health Service to ask them, because I thought that sort of statistic could be manipulated by the use of certain criteria. So I asked them what was their criteria for deciding whether or not somebody was hospitalised. And they found that quite amusing and took my number and got somebody to call me back, one of the medical officers of health. And what this woman told me was that all that you needed to be, in order to be added to the hospitalisation statistics, was to be within the hospital system for a minimum of 3 hours. So that meant that the moment that you saw the nurse, the clock started, and if you were in the system being seen by nurses and doctors and then spat out the other side again home, that was enough to be called a hospitalised patient. You didn't need to be admitted overnight. You didn't need to be in there terribly sick for days on end. You just needed to be in the system for 3 hours. Now, if anybody has been along to the hospital in recent times with a family member, you know that you're lucky to get in and out of the hospital within sort of 5 hours is a good day. So it's a curious kind of number that I think that is being used to drive a fear response.
Yeah, because that sounds like a medical emergency, doesn't it? 1 in 3 requires hospitalisation. The talk has always been about avoiding hospitalizations. And do you think whoever has made those pronouncements, and I've seen them, would be aware of what you just said?
Yeah, well, they don't want people to be aware of it. I remember when I made that known publicly, I was crowing about it in 2019, and I had a lot of people telling me that I was spreading disinformation until, of course, it sort of forced the hand of the authorities to admit that actually I was right. And now, interestingly, they're admitting to it again. This time around, Alison said she had an experience where that happened. They don't want you to know the ways that they're pulling Swifties on these sorts of things.